When I opened up in West Hampstead, everyone says, oh, you can't open up in West Hampstead, it's too posh, a tattoo shop will never work there. I don't even care what other people think, it's a personal challenge to me. No. If something's really difficult, I want to do it. Because I'm an idiot. So I had to do it, and it worked perfectly. The local community have welcomed me, and they absolutely love having us here. When Discovery came to me with the idea of London Ink, I was super happy to take part of it and was super enthusiastic. I think it was a really beautiful program because for the first time it showed what actually goes on in a tattoo studio rather than try and make a freak show out of us. Programs tend to focus on people who've tattooed their own faces or people who want to look like lizards, and that's like 1% of our life. And 99% of the time it's just an average kind of day in a studio where absolutely normal people come in with maybe a little bit of crazy ideas to tattoo, and they're not freaks and they don't want to be freaks, and they're just completely normal people, if there is such a thing. When people come with ideas to us, the main thing that we try and focus on is to try and make something unique for each client. I think far too many tattoo studios and tattooers do the same stuff over and over again. The tattoo we're doing today is a classic design. It actually comes from the 70s. I could easily just do another Grim Reaper and I could do a good job of it, but what's the point of doing something if you don't add a little bit of your own flavour into it? And then people can sort of agree with it or disagree with it, or may like it or may not like it, but at least you've made something original that's never been made before, and I don't think anyone has ever made a Grim Reaper robot before. The reason why I started tattooing was because I wanted graffiti tattoos, and no one did graffiti tattoos. I was a graffiti artist going into tattooing, and it turned out that that was what made me stand out from the crowd. That was what made me original, and that was what I could give to the tattoo industry. The only school I came from was painting graffiti on trains, and that's where I learned what colours go together, what colours doesn't go together, and how to do characters. And I guess that basically I'm still painting trains, well, just still doing the same thing, but just replace the trains with people. And now I get paid instead of getting fined. I still do graffiti, I still do a train now and again, you know. I think to turn my back on graffiti would be to turn it back on who I am. I get stopped by the police now and they go, all right, Dan. And they know me by my name, and they're like, if we don't get a complaint, I guess it's okay, but go home. Okay. Before, it was never like that, man. You know what I mean? People would be like, what are you doing? Now people ask me to paint their houses. If people know who you are, you can't just make some shit up because people know where to find you. So it gives you that extra responsibility that you have to make sure that you improve the area that you paint. You can't just go out and write my name big. You know, I'm not trying to destroy this society, I'm not out to fight it. I just like to make it a bit more colourful.
It does look amazing, man.
Yeah, I'm super excited. You like it? Yeah?
I do like it a lot, mate. It's come out better than I thought. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, fantastic. Well, that's good. I think the problem is that a lot of people are scared of originality. I guess before you enter a career, you're probably a bit unsure of yourself and you want to conform and you want to fit in. But I think what you should do is probably the complete opposite. I think any creative industry is always looking for new ideas. What we do well, and we don't need someone else to do it. What we can't do is get a different perspective of something. And I think schools kind of beat that out of you, you know? Don't think differently, even don't think. Why are you thinking? Just do it, you know what I mean? When I first came to tattooing, I tried to get an apprenticeship, which was absolutely impossible. Back then it was like magic. It was like a license to print money because there were so few tattooists out there, and they were so paranoid that anyone new or anyone talented would get into the industry, because they knew that as soon as we did, they'd be out of business. And they're still trying to stop young talent to get into the industry, and I think it's disgusting. Tattooing must be the only industry that actively try and stop people from getting into it. And it's not a welcoming industry, it's a backstabbing, horrible industry full of insecure individuals. I wish I could draw a better picture of it, but it's unfortunately it's like that. I tried to find different places to teach, but no one wanted to teach anyone back then. So I taught myself. I built my own tattoo machine, and I taught myself and started to tattoo my friends. And I wouldn't recommend that to anyone. I think you benefit from being around other people. You benefit from being in a creative environment. You benefit from being in an environment like this shop where we are 4 or 5 artists bouncing ideas off each other. We're not just tattoo artists. We also do oil painting, screen printing, graffiti, murals, anything really. When I set out to become part of this subculture or art form as I see it, it was very important for me to make sure that I did something for the culture. What we did, I suppose, was, and I can't take credit for it on my own, we were a generation of tattooists who did it, was that we added big bold lines, we added lots of colour, and we added sort of a bit of a graffiti flavour in there. Basically, we took the culture that we came from, which was comic books and graffiti, and just put it on the skin. The funny thing is, people think that it's a bubble and the popularity of tattooing has increased. But what really has happened is that it's actually bouncing back to where it's always been. Beforehand, in Victorian times, tattooing was super popular, and it was the upper classes that actually got tattooed. And it was only for a short while after the Second World War where tattooing became completely out of fashion and only became like working class art form. It was seen for sailors and bikers and prostitutes, really. And now actually you have to be quite wealthy to have tattoos these days because they're bloody expensive. So it's kind of become a status symbol again. And someone like David Beckham and 50 Cent, they're completely covered and they're at top of their game. So they've completely changed people's mindsets of what it is to be heavily tattooed. When I started out, I couldn't get into nightclubs because I had tattoos. Now I get invited to nightclubs because I have tattoos. So it's flipped on its head, you know what I mean? The whole thing about tattoos was that they were going to be forever and it was irreversible, and you needed the cojones to fucking take that decision. And now you can just erase it. It's pointless, you know what I mean? I don't know. It just seems like it's made the art form less serious. You know, I have stupid tattoos on my body. For Christ's sake, I have Lady House and a sperm cell on me. And I just don't regret them. I think they're great.
When I watched London Ink, that's when I saw Dan for the first time. And I saw him do a robot tattoo. And I thought to myself, I'll get one of those, and now I've got 2. I'm very, very happy with the result of the tattoo. It's quite a long time to sit on the couch. That's probably the most difficult part, sitting there, for 5 or 6 hours. I would definitely use Dan again, and I probably would only use Dan. I think it's colourful, I think it's bold, I think it's something that you remember when you've seen it.
I think for me, coming from a graffiti background, it was always important that as many people saw my artwork as possible. I'm just very proud of the art form that I represent. I think this stuff is so great. I fill my house with it, I fill my shop with it. I think every train should have graffiti on it. I think every person should have tattoos on them. And I think every wall should have, a painting or a skull. It's a real passion, and I just think, that's my job in this world, is to add colour to people's lives, whether they want it or not.